Something that's been happening, and you've seen it in Sydney, to a lesser extent into places like New York, London as well. I don't believe that people taking to the streets claiming to be pro-Palestinian are pro-Palestinian, they're pro-Hamas. Because, as we've talked about, the complexities, the history, all the rest of it, okay, I understand all of it, completely understand all of it, completely understand about the locking off of food and water and all of that to 2 million people in Gaza, with an average age of the population being 19. But if anyone took to the streets in the past 4 or 5 days, pretending to be about pro-Palestine, it's just garbage. It's pro-Hamas. And that is frightening, what we saw in Sydney. Frightening.
Paul, I watched the video this morning. We played it on my show today. I was appalled. I mean, the last time I was in Australia, the last thing I did was a show at the Opera House. It was one of the best days of my entire career. It was a beautiful matinee show that I did with Jordan Peterson, and then I ended a 1.5-year-long tour after a wonderful time in Australia. You are right. Those people, they're not supporters of Palestine, meaning they're there because they want a state for these people that would live in peace next to Israel. There's no Israelis. There's not one Jew that lives in Gaza. They left in 2005. They left them with infrastructure and they left them with greenhouses. They demolished everything, elected a terrorist organization who then killed their opponents that they were running against. And think about it, in the last 17 or so years since that disengagement from Gaza, which, by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu warned about, he thought this was going to happen. Now, he's got his own problems because there's a catastrophic intelligence failure on his watch. But since 2005, when they disengaged, the Israelis wanted nothing to do with the place. Nobody said they always say it's the most right-wing government in Israel ever. Nobody's saying go into Gaza, let's put homes in Gaza or anything like that. They've wanted nothing to do with them. But if you are going to endlessly send people to kill us and rape us and behead us, et cetera, then eventually people are going to push back. And what a damn shame, because the Gazans, the people of Gaza, are being abused by Hamas. And, they've been given billions of dollars in aid. Imagine had they built a civil society and what could have been a true Western democracy, because the world bends over backwards for these people because they think it's kind of sticking it to the Jews. They could have done that, but instead they built an army. And by the way, yes, there are 2+ million some odd people there. They are not in an open air prison. Gaza is blockaded by Israel and Egypt, but Egypt is not opening their border. These people are clearly well fed. There are luxury hotels there and everything else. They've managed to figure out a way to have a massive army and a lot of young, well-fed men who can go in and rape innocent 5-year-old girls. Right now, you're celebrating mass murder, you're celebrating wanton slaughter and everything else. You're not celebrating anyone getting a state in any way. But they always say, oh, it's just about Israel, right? It's just about Israel, those Jews over there. That's what this is about. Except in Sydney at the Opera House, you had what appeared to me to be 500 some odd people, maybe more, you guys may know the numbers, chanting "gas the Jews" and "kill the Jews." That's Holocaust level stuff. So I would say, if anything, many countries in the West have an invasion on their hands. These people are seemingly obsessed with indigenous people, right? Somehow they don't think the Jews are indigenous to Israel. Again, try to ask, was Jesus a Jew and where was he from? The Jews have been celebrating holidays that go to that land. I was just there 6 months ago for thousands and thousands of years. Every Jew for Passover says next year in Jerusalem, and have been saying that for thousands and thousands of years. But they pretend this is about Israel, and what you have now in your country, I would argue, is an invasion to a certain degree. We have an invasion in America to a certain degree. London, you think these people? It's not that they're just not stopped. Do you think they believe in any of the Western values that you believe in as an Australian? Of course not. Do you think they would gladly overthrow the Australian government if they could and enter whatever it is that their caliphate or whatever? Of course they would. They're telling it to you. So it's that you can say, okay, gas the Jews. There aren't a tremendous amount of Jews in Australia. There are some, but you got a different problem on your hands.
100%. I mean, literally, some of the signs of that protest in Sydney were about the caliphate, were about have everyone live under the most radical version of Islamic law. Also, let's talk about some of the American presidents, both current and former, and their responses in all of this. you can't imagine the world would be anywhere but a better place if somebody other than Biden was in charge. Everywhere from Russia, Ukraine, North Korea, Afghanistan, and now again what's happening in the Middle East. But you're particularly noticing that it took a little while for Obama and Clinton to come out.
Yeah, really disappointing by Barack Obama, but not surprising. I mean, I think he's the one really running the American administration at this point. Everyone knows it's not Joe Biden, so maybe it's not Barack Obama, but it's enough of his people. It took him 48 hours to post anything, and then his post on Twitter read like it was from ChatGPT, basically. Kind of said all the right things, and then kind of also said nothing at the same exact time. So that was disappointing. And by the way, he did manage to tweet in those 48 hours, just not about what had happened there. So that was kind of disappointing. Then we've got our Hamas caucus out here with Ilhan Omar and AOC and Rashida Tlaib. And these people, what they do is they wait for all of the slaughter, and then they say, and now we must call for peace, right? So your people are also, you're missing 1,000 of your people and your babies are burned. We should have peace. I mean, it's a complete farce. But again, I would say it's been really heartening, and it's only because of the barbarity of these attacks. It's been really heartening to see good people and good nations stand up and say, you know what, we're behind Israel. Like, sure, we kind of nudge them in the UN and we don't really vote for them. And yeah, we'll take their technology and whatever, they're not really threatening us like some of the other people that we're in bed with. But it's been nice to see some countries do the right thing. I think the issue now, of course, because we live in this idiotic news cycle of, it used to be a 24-hour news cycle. Now it's just how fast you can, swipe your finger news cycle, is that the images as Israel gains control of their own borders. I mean, right before I started with you, I literally saw a video from a friend in Israel who sent me, a dead woman, young girl, just burned to oblivion. Those images will go away, and the images of what's happening in Gaza will appear, and then suddenly everyone will say, oh, you must stop, you must stop. But I'm telling you, they have awoken something in the Israeli people, and Hamas will be done by the end of this thing, and we'll see what other destruction there is. But I don't know what you do with the people in Gaza. I don't know how anyone should be allowed to live there anymore. You got to go to Egypt. You got to go to Egypt. You just can't stay here. Like, again, it is your duty. It is the one duty of your government in Australia to protect you. That is the main duty. Now, governments often fail. This is the ultimate test for the Israeli nation, and I suspect they will not fail it, but it's going to be painful.
And I don't quite know how to get to this, but I'll try anyway. A bit of wisdom beyond the grave from Joan Rivers. You showed this on your show today.
So I'm trying to get celebrity reactions to what's going on with the Palestinians and Israelis right now.
Let me just tell you, if New Jersey were firing rockets into New York, we would wipe them out. I am so bored. If we heard they were digging tunnels from New Jersey to New York, we would get rid of Jersey. So I don't want to hear anymore, we'll do a partial truce. The Palestinians, you cannot throw rockets and expect people not to defend themselves.
What about the civilian casualty rate?
Then don't put your goddamn things in private homes. I'm sorry, don't you dare put weapon stashes in private homes, and then we say get out. Of course, we're going to do it.
The response normally is where are the civilians supposed to go?
I don't care. They started it. You're all insane. They started it. What are you all saying? They started. The Israelis did not throw their... For months this has been going on.
How do you resolve it?
What are you supposed to do?
How do you resolve it?
How do I know? Because I have been over there. That's how I know. And I wish the world would know. And BBC should be ashamed of themselves. And CNN should be ashamed of themselves. And everybody, stop it already.
Like Dwight Howard tweeted, Free Palestine, took it back. Selena Gomez tweeted a pro-Gaza.
Oh, Selena Gomez. Oh, yeah, that college grad.
All right, Joan, thank you.
Joan, thank you so much.
Well, if Selena said that.
Did Rihanna have to take it back?
Tell her, let's see if she can spell Palestinian.
I'll ask her right now. We love you.
Thanks, Joan. Have a great day.
Oh, man, is anyone better than Joan Rivers? 2014, and she knew then what I guess some people are waking up to now. But we used to have people who called it as they see it, who knew what truth was, who called balls and strikes. She was not only funny. I mean, the line about Selena Gomez, she's just like funny and wickedly sharp. And she knows nobody would do this in their own life. Nobody. You come home and your family is raped and murdered and burned up. Turn the other cheek. They just wanted some of your stuff in your backyard. So she gets it, and I miss her. I miss her more now than ever. And she, by the way, she's funnier than every female hack comic leftist that we've got in America and probably in Australia too.